Alright, hello everyone. Thank you for having me back for my fourth final run of the marathon. We're doing the DS version of Chaos Theory today. A bit earlier in the marathon, we had Distro running the fourth game, Double Agent. Today, I'll be running the third game, Chaos Theory. So, for those that have played this game, you might most likely be familiar with the PC and console versions of the game, like PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox, and all that. This is very much not that version. So Nintendo released a few handheld ports of the game, the DS version being one of them. Interestingly, the DS port is actually a port of the N-Gage version, which is another handheld version of the game. And I haven't played the N-Gage version myself, but I imagine the similarities are... There's a lot of similarities between the two, because it's pretty much an exact port of the N-Gage version. But anyway, it's a very different version of the game, so for anyone who's seen speedruns of that version, or has played that version casually, this is going to be like a fresh take on the game, almost. So a few things to explain. One main thing, really. So this run is essentially going to be New Game Plus, because I have a few things enabled in the extras here. First thing is I have full equipment enabled. It's basically infinite ammo for this version, so I can spam gadgets as much as I want, which makes dealing with guards a lot easier. And I also have costumes enabled. You can unlock different costumes by grabbing them as collectibles in the world in every mission. And I have all of them here. Personally, it doesn't speed up or slow down the run depending on which costume you get or use for the run. I just pick whichever I think looks cool, which in my case I've picked the Snow Guard. Pretty flying outfit right there. Alright, and the other thing is that there's 10 missions. I'll be trying to go through all of them in under an hour 25. There are some pretty tough skips, which I'll be going over when they come up, but for the most part it should be a pretty smooth ride. Alright, so we'll go ahead and start from training. Because when you start from training, you just do all the missions in a row. That's what we're going to do for the run. Training, and then the 9 missions here that you see on the mission select. We'll go ahead and get going. So time starts as soon as I press A on the briefing screen here. So 3, 2, 1, go! Well, we'll stop there, but that's fine. Alright, so right away you'll notice a few differences. You can see the dual screen setup I have going. I use that to control the camera as well as access my inventory, like the gadgets I mentioned earlier, as well as the weapons I'll be using. And right now we're just going through training. It's a pretty straightforward mission, because it's basically the game teaching us the controls in this case, and later on, in the latter half of the mission, I will get taught stealth mechanics, although, as you'll very quickly see, we're going to avoid any and all stealth over the course of the run. And this mission is a nice preview of that. Right now, though, it's just optimized platforming. A few things to know about this version. Since this isn't a console, obviously, it's not a home console, it's a kind of weak handheld that I'm playing on. The game does not run very well. You'll very often see throughout this game that the game just drops frames, sometimes to the point of the game straight up freezing, which makes platforming a little awkward. And it's for good reason, partly because of that this game actually is, or this version is pretty low reviews, but I'm used to it because I played this game for several years. So I'm used to all the frame drops and can do the platforming pretty well. You also get lockpick sequences, which are a staple of Splinter Cell. You have to pick the pins in a certain order by tapping them on the touchscreen. And so I have notes beside me to actually, so I know what the lockpick sequences are in advance, the order I have to hit the pins in anyway. But I just sticky shock that guard, which I can do because I have the full loadout. You're supposed to go behind that guard and knock him out, but sticky shocking him I found is a few seconds faster. We do have to sneak behind this guard, though, because we have to actually interrogate him to trigger an objective. We need to interrogate him to figure out the code for this keypad that's behind us. I'll go ahead and knock him out. You can't kill that guard, because if you do, you fail the mission. So don't do that if you ever plan to play this. Trust me, I've tried it. It doesn't work. We'll turn off the lights here. Actually, throughout the game, you can just turn off the lights by hacking a panel like that. We're not going to bother with that with this run, because for the most part in places where that is an option, it's faster to just run past guards instead of having to turn off the lights. And we get introduced to the swap turn, which is another mechanic we barely see throughout the run, but you get a nice showcase of it right here. The swap turn turning from the previous Splinter Cell game, Pandora Tomorrow, and interestingly they decided to do it for the DS version of this game, but not any of the other versions, for some reason. We have some lasers in this last section, but we can pretty easily dodge those by just crouching the whole way through. Got past all the lasers. We'll go to this last room, and that's the end of training, right there. Alright, cool. That's the first out of 10 missions down. So that mission was pretty straightforward for the most part. As I mentioned at the start, it was just straightforward movement, right? But Lighthouse is where that changes. Because I don't know how this ended up happening. I guess I just accidentally stumbled upon glitches in this game, but over the years, as I've done glitch hunting for this version, it's turned out to be the most broken version of Chaos Theory ever. Because half of the 10 missions I'll be doing over the course of this run, starting from here, are able to be broken very hard. Because we can do out of bounds in this game. Anyone who's seen Metal Gear Solid speedruns of the PC version of that game might know about a sequence break you can do where you clip out of bounds using a vent. Well, it turns out that Chaos Theory also has sequence breaking involving vents. Basically, it won't appear for a few minutes, but essentially if you go in a crawl space like this one, and then enter the crawl space at a very specific point, you'll trick the game into thinking you're exiting the vent when you're actually entering the vent. So that puts you in a state where you can stand up and move around while you're still technically inside the vent. Which allows us to go out of bounds, because when we're in that standing state, we can then jump out of the vent and freely run around. And we can, as you might imagine, we can break the game pretty heavily with that. For reference, a run without glitches, or without any of these out-of-bounds shenanigans, takes around 1 hour and 36 minutes. And we're going to try to beat it in 1 hour and 20. Because the skips I've managed to find over the years save around 20 minutes compared to a glitcher out-of-bounds free run. And thankfully, and I'm thankful actually that some of those skips exist now, having found them myself, because some of the sections we skip with the out-of-bounds are very annoying. Anyone who's played the DS version in your childhood probably knows what I'm talking about. Another awkward thing with this game is that, also we'll come across our first guard here, and you'll see the game right there, it drops so many frames it just straight up freezes. Like I was saying earlier, the DS isn't the most powerful system out there, so you'll see plenty of points like that where the game just freezes. Yeah, one other awkward thing about the DS port of this game is that, since the DS is so weak as a console, relative to the console versions, they didn't do voice lines in the game, and instead you just got text boxes. So I imagine if they did do voice lines, the voice lines would be extremely compressed. I'm gonna sneak past this guard by just crouching on the right side. I'll jump up here. For the most part, we're just running through here and dealing with guards. I mentioned earlier about the infinite ammo. So what I'm going to use is, for most of the combat in this run, is sticky shockers. Sticky shockers are a non-lethal gadget that immediately downs the target. And since it's basically a one-shot kill, it's one of the most OP weapons in the entire game. Which makes it even more OP considering that we have infinite ammo. Because since it's a one-shot kill, and it's a non-lethal weapon, I won't have to worry about any cases throughout this game where a mission restricts me to doing non-lethal kills, because I can just shoot people with sticky shockers, and that's all good. We're just speeding through the lighthouse. There's Morganhull. Our objective with this mission is to find him and try to get him out of there, but unfortunately he's dead. He got tortured by some guards earlier, and we just missed him. So now I have to figure out where the information Morganhull had is now. So I normally run past this guy if I was doing a PV attempt, but for marathon safety, I'm going to go ahead and sticky shock him, just so I won't have to deal with more alarms later. Because, as this is a stealth game, if you take too many alarms, 3 out of 3 to be exact, you fail the mission, just like in Double Agent earlier in the marathon, and a lot of other Splinter Cell games. So, while we do want to go fast, occasionally I'll play it safe to try to avoid alarms. I'm going to save right here for, again, a bit of marathon safety, because I mentioned how I could break this mission with out of bounds, and this area is where I do that. We're basically going to skip from what's essentially the halfway point of the mission to the very end. It saves around 3 minutes. Before that, though, I'm going to take care of these guards with some sticky shockers just so they aren't a nuisance. Guard number 1, right there. There's guard number 2. Like I was saying, I'm going to try to exit this gate, or this crawl space at a specific point. Just like this, and then back into it. There we go, so now I can stand up, and we're out of bounds. Navigating out of bounds in Chaos Theory DS is very difficult, way harder than it might look. Because as you can see, there's a bunch of big black void. And I have to, like, make sure the environment loads in specific ways so I can actually see where I'm going. And I actually have every, like, area mapped out ahead of time, just to be sure that I don't fall out of bounds, because if you fall out of bounds, you lose a ton of time. Just like that. So, I got a little lost there and tried to regain my bearings, but unfortunately I fell out of bounds. When you fall out of bounds, you instantly fail the mission. So it's a pretty big time loss if you do. Luckily the save point, for this bit in particular, is right there. So I'll give it one more try, and if this doesn't work, I'll just do the rest of the mission without out of bounds. I'm only going to give some of these outbounds a few tries and just do the mission as intended. Just because, like I said, you do lose a lot of time if you miss some of these, so in some cases, for just keeping the marathon going, it's best to just continue and not try the out of bounds again. Admittedly, in my practice, this is the one I'm least practiced on as of lately, so this might take me a few tries. Why am I not seeing the texture look? What the heck? There we go. I think we should be fine, but this, the fact that it didn't load in there is kind of iffy, so I'll just play it safe. Alright, I think we're good. Alright, so it was a little messy, but I managed to get it. So like I was saying earlier, we've just skipped 50% of the mission. Now we're basically right at the end. Because you're supposed to do a whole section where you hack a computer to open a door to go to where I just went, and then you have to do a few event sequences and nab a few guards, but we just completely skipped that. Alright, so the guy that has the information that Morganhole had is now in that tower. He's trying to radio into some enemy characters to let them know about the information he learned, so we're gonna assassinate him. There we go, we've just assassinated Lacerda. Now we're gonna try to go over to where we just shot him to get the information back. Another thing with the DS port, another quirk of this version, is that whenever I skip cutscenes, you'll see that little loading bit appear in the bottom screen. That just happens whenever you skip cutscenes, I guess because the game has to take time to load the map after you skip the cutscene, I suppose. And that happens quite a lot in the run, and it's part of the reason why this version is so much longer than the console versions, because there's a lot of those load screens you have to sit through. It's kind of ridiculous. Take some damage here from this guard, but it's fine. We won't die from it. We did get an alarm there as well, but we're right at the end of the mission, so it's no big deal. Alright, cool. So now we're at the end of Lighthouse. The crazy out-of-bounds shenanigans does not stop there. We have another one in bank. We're going to the bank here because we're investigating some ties that Lacerda had to some accounts at this bank. Learning where he spent that money, essentially. So I'm a bit rusty on the lore, but that's the gist of it. I'm gonna equip sticky shockers. The nice thing about this game is that whenever you're doing an animation, like going to a crawl space like that or opening a door, you can go into the inventory. So I take that time to equip items that I'll need for later portions. Like in that case, for a lot of this mission, like I mentioned earlier about sticky shockers being OP, I'll be using a lot of sticky shockers. So I went ahead and equipped sticky shockers just there. So sticky shock that camera. Sticky shock this guard so he doesn't notice me as I go to this event. Because we're trying to go to the roof to actually enter the bank. Because we need to turn on the power to open a shutter so we can rappel down into it. Do a quick roll under that vent. We'll do a quick lockpick sequence. What version of the game is this? This is DS version. So yeah, you're supposed to rappel down, but you can just drop down instead. It's a little faster. Do take a bit of damage from that though, so I'm gonna take a second to heal up. And oh, my cord is acting up for some. My IO cord got yanked a little, but that's okay. I'd like to sticky shock this guard. He has a key that I need. Oh, I accidentally picked up his body. I need to sticky shock this guard because there's a key of his right here that I need to pick up to open the door. Gonna enter the main area of the bank now that we've entered. And I'm gonna equip the chaff grenade. This is a grenade that when you throw it, it disables electronics, and there's some lasers that we want to disable on the other side of this door. I also saved there because there's an out of bounds that can soft lock me if I mess it up. Or not soft lock me, but I lose a lot of progress if I fail it. It's a bit more punishing than the one I did in Lighthouse for sure. But conveniently, by throwing that chaff grenade right there, it also disables this camera on the other side, so I don't have to go out of my way to disable it. Pretty nice optimization there. So I'll do a vent clip here, which again is a little precise. It's not pixel perfect, but it's dang near close. It's very particular. We got it there. We'll immediately jump back inbounds right here.
Someone there?
Because we want to do another vent clip right here. This will take us to a point where we grab the records to actually get into the vault. Because our objective is to go into the vault to find all the Lacerda's accounts and find out what he's been spending. We'll just walk up left here. And I'll grab onto this roof and then fall back inbounds once again. We have another lockpick sequence, which for this one is 1342. Here we go. I'll grab the records right here. So actually let me get into the vault, otherwise it would soft lock. Not be good. We'll do another vent clip to get out of bounds. There we are. This out of bounds is a little particular, so I'll focus on it for a second. I got a little confused there because of how it wound up loading in, but got my bearings. I'm going to crawl underneath that room where we activated the shutters earlier. Because by going underneath that little floor, it acts as if I'm entering a crawl space, so I can crawl my way out of bounds here. I'm going to make my way out of bounds to the vault. Again, if you're watching this for the first time, it might be a little confusing, but worry not, because I know where to go, because I've mapped out all the out of bounds. I'll grab that corner, or this corner right here, just to orient myself. I'll walk to the right and turn my camera that way, just to be sure I know where I'm going. Should, once you drop down here, there we go. We've hit a load trigger from out of bounds, and that puts us right at the vault. Now we're at the vault, where there's 5 doors that we have to lockpick to basically steal $50,000 in money. Sam actually has a really funny line on the PC and console versions about stealing the money, but unfortunately we don't hear that in the DS version, which is kind of sad. I'm also hacking this computer because we need to hack this computer to get a code for a keypad to get out of here once we get to the end. We'll pick a few more keypads. You kind of have to guess which ones are the correct ones, which are indicated by the 3-pin lockpicks there, but I know which ones are the correct ones in advance. So go ahead and do those. Fisher's invisible out of bounds, yeah. I feel like he's should get a pay raise from this new tactic he's willing to play. So we've gotten the $50,000. We'll do a quick lockpick sequence, which is a little convoluted. Not too bad. I'm going to put a code, which is 0372. That opens a secret passage surrounding this vault. Now we're out of the bank. So, starting from here, we actually get to chill for a little bit, because until the 7th mission, there's actually no big out-of-bounds skips for a while. The next 4 missions in a row are all very straightforward. Which gives me a bit of a break, but the last 3 missions have some fairly tough skips. We'll see how those go later. So now we're in Manhattan streets. Again, if you played the console version, you might recognize this bit as being part of the Penthouse mission, which is normally the 4th mission, but for some reason for the DS version, I guess to save on memory, with Penthouse being such a big level, they split into 2. So this is the bit where we get into the penthouse, and then Penthouse proper, where we're actually in the apartment of a character named Sir Casey. We don't have to worry about alarms here, but we do take damage from these guards, so I'm gonna just spam health kits. Again, because we have infinite ammo, I can spam these health kits as much as I want, because they'll refill automatically, because I have infinite of them. So we essentially don't have to worry about damage at all throughout the run, unless it's a really fatal fall, like if you fail the out of bounds. So we're really only concerned about managing alarms, so that we don't mission fail. Similar case here, we don't have to just ignore that electric panel and run past that guard. It does get an alarm, but it goes away pretty soon. There is one bit at the end of this mission that can be kind of scary, but I'll mention that when it comes up. It's right after I crawl through this window in just a second. I'm gonna wait to skip this cutscene until Sam's portrait appears, just like that. Because there's a bug you can sometimes get on that cutscene, where if you skip it, I think it's if you skip it too early, or you just mission fail for no reason. It's a really weird glitch. And I've only ever encountered it a few times, ever. Alright, cool. So that's the part I was worried about. I just had to run really quickly over to this vent to crawl into it. And there's two guards on that street section I was just on. And if you're unlucky, they can see you as you're going in the vent. And since I'm stuck here crawling in a vent, I can't use medkits to heal myself, so I'm effectively stuck and forced to die. So thankfully that didn't happen.
I'm getting paranoid.
There's two guards here surrounding us in the garage, but again, you can just use sticky shockers to take care of them. Right click. And we're out of here. Was a little off the trigger, so I had to run to the side to get into it. Alright, cool. So, that's the Manhattan Streets portion done. Now we'll go into the penthouse proper. Quick note, by the way, the soundtrack in this game is amazing. Like, even though it's compressed because I'm playing on the DS, it's a really good soundtrack, for sure. Eamon Tobin, who I think is the composer for this, did a really good job with it. All the Splinter Cell games in general have really good soundtracks, but Chaos Theory in particular is really good.
Someone there? Someone.
By the way, in case anyone's wondering, Conviction is my favorite Splinter Cell game. You can fight about that in the comments. Or on the chat. Not in the comments. What am I saying? So we're just running through the penthouse. So along the way, we're going to sticky shock a few guards. Which isn't too bad, but there is one bit where they can be kind of annoying. Towards the end of this bit, before we actually get into the penthouse proper. There's one guard off to my left, but he doesn't notice us at all, so we can just ignore him. The guard that comes through this door here, I'm going to sticky shock him. Go. The nice thing about the infinite ammo feature is that even if you miss a shot, like I was trying to do there on that guard with sticky shockers, you still have, you just spam shots and eventually you'll land on them. Because the characters are a bit hard to see because they're so pixelated, it can be a little hard to hit guards sometimes, but it wasn't too bad there. So there's a key card I have to get off to the side, but before I do that, I'm gonna sticky shock that guard right there, just so he isn't a problem when I go back up there. Penthouse is a big back and forth mission, because there's a lot of points where you have to go from A to B. Because we'll get a key card here to go upstairs, and then there's another door that we have to open with a key card, so you have to come back down here to get that key card, and also to get some intel that'll let us proceed to the end of the mission. A lot of going back and forth, but so got the key card there. I'll be able to enter Zakazi's room on the top floor. we'll go up these stairs. I have theorized a skip for this mission, because what you have to actually do to exit the mission is you get on a helicopter, or on a helipad, and interact with a helicopter, and then you can leave. So if I could find a way to clip out of here and get to that helipad early, that would be a massive time save. Occasionally when I skip this cutscene, a guard comes out of the bathrooms that are on the other side of me, so we'll see. That looks like I didn't get him. If he does appear, I can just sticky shock him on the way back. Well, this run is pretty consistent because New Game Plus is OP with dealing with guards. It can still be kind of iffy sometimes, because if you fail at all, you can lose a lot of time. Even if you just, like, die somewhere, you can lose a lot of progress. So in the later missions, where I could potentially lose minutes by making a mistake, I'll just do safety saves. Because the game occasionally, in addition to autosaves, lets you save manually occasionally. I'll be doing that for marathon safety, which does waste a bit of time because of the slow load times on the DS version, but it'll be worth it. Better safe than sorry, as they say. Go into the code there, just 1939. I have to interact with a couple of computers here. Doing this finite state machine, I think is what it's called, on the other side of the room here. Also have to pick up this key card. This will let us enter the helipad on the roof of the apartments. Access that laptop and the finite state machine. And now we have the key card and the information from the finite state machine. We can just go back up to the roof and leave. Come on, Sam, get on that box, you sucker. Like I was saying earlier, platforming is a little awkward on this version, so you can see I was trying to do a simple jump onto that box, and Sam kind of flopped a few times. I'll activate power on the helipad, and we'll enter the helipad, or enter the helicopter. Right, that's penthouse done. I'll be entering this place. We're going here to try to get information on a character in the game that's Sam's friend as well, named Shetland. Because the information we're trying to find may involve criminal acts that could lead to World War III in the plot. Because that's the idea, that's the goal of this whole game. And a lot of the Splinter Cell games, actually, in the original trilogy. We're trying to avert a World War III kind of situation.
Is someone there?
Gonna run down to the roof. Or run down from the roof. All the way to the basement floor. It's kind of like in Penthouse where we're going from A to B, but it's a lot more involved. Because we have to go through different floors to access different bits of information, like I was explaining earlier with finding information on Shetland. First we'll go to the basement, or basement. Shoot the camera, there we go. So we have to go first to the basement, into floor 0, or the ground floor. Then floor 2, and then floor 3. And we'll make our way back to floor 0 to exit. So we have all the stuff that we need. There's a guard across this door. There's a couple different ways you can deal with him. I'm gonna opt this time to open the door and shoot him with the sticky shocker. You might have noticed he shot at me, but I didn't take any damage. Because, again, this version is a little laggy. When you take damage from a guard, like when they shoot at you, it takes a second for the damage to set in and for your health bar to actually go down. So even if you get shot at a little bit, you're still good. But because this game is so laggy, it can sometimes be hard to tell when you take damage. And so you'll be okay one moment, and then just dead the next. Which can make first playthroughs kind of annoying, but New Game Plus slowed out like this. And also with prior knowledge that I definitely have with my time speedrunning this game, it's not too bad. We have to get a key card to get up to floor 0. Or to floor 1, I mean. We're on floor 0 right now. Or is just over here. I don't know why they leave a key card for accessing important floors in their private office building. I don't know why they leave that on the floor, but let them be them. We'll use that card to get through that door, and we'll get the card to get to floor 1 in this room. I'm going in this room crouched because there's a few guards here, and by crouching, I don't get seen by them. That's the basement and floor 0 done. Now we're going to floor 1. What? Oh wait, never mind, floor 2. I was dumb. Oh, that was my bad. I accidentally triggered an alarm. That should be fine though. With my route, I can avoid alarms pretty easily. I should have shot, because on floor 2 there's a camera in front of the door. And if you don't shoot it with a sticky shocker, disabling it in some way, you get an alarm because you get caught by the cameras. Thankfully though, it went away just there, so that's fine. Thankfully, when you do get alarms, if you haven't taken alarms for a while, or you hit a checkpoint, and you have an alarm level that's 1 or worse, that alarm level gets taken away, and it gets reset back to 0. That essentially allows us to do a lot very risky strategies throughout this run to go even faster. If you've ever seen a Pandora Tomorrow speedrun, it's actually a very similar principle. Stick shock back guard, so he's no problem. Stick shock back camera, so I don't get caught. This part looks innocuous, so I'm gonna focus on it real quick. So I'm gonna throw a chaff grenade at that camera, and then lockpick here, lockpick this. I need to be very careful with that lockpick because I'm in the middle of a hallway when picking that lock, and as you saw, there's a camera at the end. If I was still in that hallway and the camera reactivated after being electrocuted from the chaff grenade, I would have gotten seen and gotten another alarm. Thankfully I know the pattern and was able to do it without failing. I'm going to chaff grenade there to disable the camera in front of the store. We have all the information we need on this floor, so now we'll go back up to floor 3. There's a lot to do in floor 3, so we'll be there for a little bit. And floor 3 has some points where I could play a little risky, but again, I'm gonna play it, or save, just for marathon safety. We're gonna make sure sticky shock this camera, just in case. Don't want to accidentally get caught on the way up, like I did last time going into floor 2. Floor 3 is a waste of time? Exactly. Yeah, we don't have time for that. We're trying to speedrun to save the world. Alright, so first, on floor 3, I have to go to a server room, which is off to the side here. And there's quite a few lasers, but I'll try to disable them quickly by throwing a chaff grenade. So hopefully when I throw this right around here, chaff grenade disables all 3 lasers. Very nice. If you get hit by any of those lasers, there's a turret there that shoots you to death. So thankfully we avoided that. Couple guards here, I'll sticky shock them. And hit the switch to activate the door to the server room. I need to activate 2 keypads here. The first one on the right here is 7301. And the second one on the left is 4925. And just in case, I'm gonna make a save here. Because there's a bunch of lasers in this room. You're kind of intended to use the thermal vision to see where the lasers are, but I already know where the lasers are ahead of time. We'll just run through this room without using it. Which is nice, because if you do use the thermal vision, the game just runs really slowly. Like, if you thought the FPS in the game so far has been bad, it's even worse when you put the night vision or thermal vision on. It makes the game run at like 5 FPS. It's ridiculous. So I'll make my way back. Again, making sure not to touch the lasers, because that would be awful. Alright, cool. I avoid the lasers. Still have to avoid the lasers in this next hallway on the way back, though, so I'm gonna throw another chaff grenade. Cool, disabled all 3 lasers, so I'll run right through there. Thankfully, my alarm level is good, because there's a guard in this next hallway, so if I get caught by him, it won't be that big of an issue. Right down there, so I'll just sticky shock him, so that isn't a problem. Now we're going to enter a man named Nedich's room. Whoops, that's a mistake. I accidentally entered the wrong code. But thankfully I'm only at 1 alarm level. That's still a pretty healthy alarm level right there. And it just went away when we got the checkpoint right there, so that's pretty good. So we find out from that computer that Nedich, who is another guy we're trying to go after, he's in this retreat of sorts in Hokkaido, so that's where we're going to go for the next mission. So now we've gotten that information about Nedich. We don't have to do anything else, we just have to escape. We're gonna go all the way down to floor 0. It's quite a long run, but we'll get there. Again, as I go down, I'm gonna make sure to sticky shock the cameras, so I don't get caught. You technically can run under them instead of sticky shocking them, but it's a little risky. I'm gonna opt to not do that. Here though I'm fine, I can just run to the right side and stay in the shadows, and won't get caught by the camera. I can play a little risky here and run through some lasers, but I'm gonna sticky shock this one instead. Be a little safe. Oh, I got hit by one anyway, but that's fine. We're right at the end of the mission, so any alarms or alerts I get doesn't matter. Alright, so now we're at this place. By far one of the hardest ones out of the missions in this game that we do have intended. But that's alright, that turned out okay. Now we're in Hokkaido. As I was saying, there's a character named Nedish we're trying to go after. We're basically going to go to this retreat to try to find him, and, Jetland. No. Triggering alarms doesn't mean additional enemies. It's just like a kind of 3 strikes you're out system, in a way. It doesn't add anything extra to the game. Funnily enough, there's actually a point in the next mission, Battery, where you can trigger an alarm on yourself. Which I don't know why they left that in, but hey. Fun little Easter egg, I guess. And I'm not joking, you can literally just go up to an alarm panel in the Battery mission, the next mission after this, and just pull an alarm on yourself. Really stupid. Yeah, exactly, tactical. If you want a free way to mission fail yourself when playing this game, then that's the way to do it. Yeah, in this mission it's very straightforward. As I said, we're just moving through this retreat, trying to find Nedish and Shetland. So there's not too much going on. So I guess in chat, what's your favorite Splinter Cell game? I said earlier that mine was Conviction, but wanna get a vote going? What is the best Splinter Cell game?
I must return to my duty.
Oh shoot, I missed that guard, but he's gonna come around this corner, so we're good. Or, no, he's gonna go back, alright. So, I was trying to do an optimization there where I hop over this counter to avoid some running, and I shoot that guard, but I kind of messed it up. I'll sticky shock that guard, and I'm gonna put my pistol, and while I'm in the cutscene, I'm gonna mash L, which is the button for shooting a weapon. Because as soon as I get out of this cutscene, I'm gonna be in encounter with an enemy who's gonna be shooting me right away, so I need to dispatch of him quickly. Right there, we saw there was an enemy, and we just quickly dispatched of him. To take a bit of damage from that, though, so I'll bring out my med kits. Real quick, and then I'll bring out my sticky shockers again. CT, that's fair. For a lot of people, CT is their favorite Splinter Cell game, and that's fair. Because this game is really good. Maybe not on the DS version, but it's a really good game, for sure. Guard just got out of my sight because I was trying to shoot him to get this satchel. It's a keycard that I need to get through this door. Alright, now we're gonna fight Nedish. Who we can just immediately incapacitate by shooting him with the sticky shocker. So Nedish is down, and now we're trying to find Shetland. Occasionally when I go through this door, a guard is on the other side. Hopefully that isn't the case. Alright, cool. Looks like the guard wasn't quite there, so I didn't get a caution. Oh, when enemies see you, first they go into caution mode, where they try to investigate and find you. And then once they actually find you, or if they see you before they come into contact, or if they see you at all, they go into alert mode, and they actively start hunting at you. And if you're away from them for long enough, or if you're aggroed onto them for long enough, or if they're aggroed onto you for long enough, that's when the alarm triggers. Oh yeah, co-op in Chaos Series is really fun too. Sadly, I think the servers for that are down now. Same for Blacklist. Kind of stinks. Because I think Ubisoft very recently took down the servers for Blacklist multiplayer, and Conviction as well. Kinda sucks, but the nice thing about that is there are, I think, some community projects or some mods that have been made, or like some programs you can use to still play online in that, which is... So my alarm level is 1 out of 3, but that's fine. There is one guard I'm going to encounter here at the end portion of the mission, but it's fine. I'll only get one alarm from him, and I don't have alarm level 2 out of 3. Make this even more dangerous. I'm just gonna kill him with the sticky shocker as soon as I get out of here. Yeah, there's the guard. And he's down already. So what happened in the cutscene that we skipped is, Shetland betrays Zerkazy, who is also in retreat with him, and kills him. Now we're going after Shetland and the battery. Because we suspect Shetland may have caused a nuke to launch from South Korea. We're gonna go to a battery there. Oddly enough, we end up skipping out on the Soul mission, because I guess they just wanted to exclude that from the DS version. And this is the last point in the run where I get a break, because the last 3 missions here all have pretty tough out-of-bounds skips, and 2 of them are very lengthy. Battery, I think, is actually the longest mission in the entire game, just because the map is so expansive and there's a lot of objectives to do here. So you shock that guard, because you want to go on these crates to get into the battery proper. Oh shoot, I missed that jump, but that's okay, I can just jump right back up here. Like I was saying, platforming in DS is a little awkward. That's okay, got up there. Gonna wait until a guard comes up to the store. That way I can actually interact with it. I'll bash the door down to knock him out. Sticky shock this guard, and then I'll sticky shock the guard that comes out of it. That way I don't get an alarm when he sees the body. Very specific lockpicking sequence, but again I know the pins to hit ahead of time. Just got that one right quick. Pretty quick guard kills here, so they aren't a problem when I come back. Because eventually when we end this mission, I am going to have to backtrack to get back to the very beginning. By taking care of these guards ahead of time, as I go through these hallways the first time, it just makes going through this last section a lot nicer. You can also do a roll there to save a bit of time. I'm opting not to do it because you do take a bit of damage if you do it, which not taking it, it's a little safer. also saves menuing, because this way I don't have to go into my inventory to bring up a med kit to heal. So we did arouse the guard's suspicion there, but we don't have to worry about it. We can just rush to this keypad to get back into the battery. So I'm going to save here, because I mentioned there's some tough out of bounds I'll be doing, and battery is by far the hardest one. Because it's going to involve a leap of faith out of bounds. I have to basically run off into a ledge, basically some geometry out of bounds, and hope that I press jump in time to grab onto a ledge leading to an elevator before I fall into the void. Thankfully, like the lighthouse skip earlier, the save is pretty close. So if I do mess it up, I won't really lose several minutes to it. I'll lose like a couple, but it won't be too bad. Let's take care of those 3 guards so I can get to this vent without any trouble. And it's the first time in 4 missions I've done this, but I'm going to do another vent clip. Alright, cool. Now I'll clip out here. I'm going to very carefully navigate around, because I want the area to be loaded so I can actually see where I'm going. And I have to navigate in specific ways to be able to do that. There we go. We'll grab that ledge and swing the camera around to load this hallway. Over to this doorway and crawl up. Some invisible geometry, 1 level up. Gonna set my camera up and then walk forward. I also make it so I grab onto a ledge. As like before in that hallway, I want to swing my camera around here, load in the environment. Because the elevator I'm trying to get to, by doing this out of bounds, is right in front of me. I'm gonna run to the out of bounds and hope that I make it. I think I got it. Alright, cool. So just a big leap of faith there, and now we're in the elevator. That skips going to a few rooms to get the keypad, which saves a few minutes. I'm seriously so glad that I got that, because that, no joke, is one of the hardest out of bounds. It's just so intimidating to do. We're not out of the woods yet, though, because I have to crawl up this pipe, and I have to dodge a few lasers while I do that. That first one is pretty easy to dodge, but this next bit has 2 lasers I have to dodge, instead of just 1. Yeah, I got one there, but that's fine. Pretty soon we'll get to a save point. We can just save there in case something happens. And also when I hit that checkpoint, it erases my alarm level, which is pretty nice. Need to be very careful in this next drop because it's very treacherous. I could die if I take too much damage from this, and also I have to dodge some lasers while doing this. Oh nice, managed to roll in here. Okay. A little sketchy there with those 2 guards, but it worked out. Got kind of bombarded by them, but I managed to take care of them pretty quick. Just to shock that laser. There's a computer in this next room that I want to hack to proceed. These basically give us codes to be able to interact with some missile launchers later on. I'm gonna throw a chaff grenade there to disable a laser that moves back and forth on the ceiling. Gonna interact with this computer. When I hack this computer, cutscene is going to play, and while this cutscene is loading and skipping, a guard is going to spawn, and this guard can behave a little unpredictably, so let's see what happens here. Okay, looks like we just got a caution, which is okay. He's right outside where that second guard was killed, so we have to take dispatch of him as well. There we go. Then I'll sticky shock this the laser so I can go back. I'm gonna make yet another safety save here. Because I need to be careful to not hit a laser here. Especially in this case, because I have 2 out of 3 alarms, so if I hit a laser here and trigger an alarm, that's a mission failed. Nice. So I can get caught by those lasers. You're good. What? Okay. I thought my game froze for a second, but I guess I just skipped that cutscene frame perfectly. That was really odd. I thought my game crashed there, but we're good. But because I have 2 out of 3 alarms now, I need to be very careful when I encounter guards. Because if I get an alarm pulled on me, that's a mission failed. We can encounter them pretty safely by just using sticky shockers, but there are some cameras I'll have to avoid pretty soon. Like right here, there's some cameras I have to avoid. I think if I get that camera, so I'll use a sticky shocker there. Sticky shock this guard. Dropped a key. I'll need to get into a door that was locked a second ago. I'm gonna hack this computer. That disables this launcher. There's a launcher on the other side of the battery that I still have to get to, so we'll be making our way over there. Quick safety save there just in case I get hit by lasers or get caught by a camera in this next hallway. Nice, I caught the camera. And I got that camera too. Oh. Shoot those 2 guards there, so they're not a problem. The room just to my left there is where the end of the mission is. But I don't have the code for that yet. So I have to go in this room off to the side to hack a computer to get the code. And because I'm scared of failing the mission, because again, 2 out of 3 alarms, I'm gonna be a spastic saver until the alarm level goes down. I really don't want a mission fail and lose several minutes on accident. So I'll sticky shock that guard, and I'll go over here to this electric panel. To get into the room off to my side, I have to crawl above the ceiling, but above the ceiling is a bunch of lasers. So by interacting with that panel, it disables the lasers. I can crawl here without any issues. This guard is not a problem. Well, got that guard. Oh no, interact that laptop, sir. Alright, cool. That gives us a code, or the code. Now I'll be hacking this computer. Alright, so it turns out with the other missile launcher, we were a bit late with, disabling it, so we have to make our way over there and make sure that the missiles don't reach the target ship that's going after. Because right now the missiles have launched in the other launcher, but they haven't made their way to the ship that's targeting yet. So we'll make our way back and try to disable the missiles. So we'll go in this vent coming up. Oh nice, the alarm level went down there. It's nice. So, just in front of this vent, a guard will walk in front of it. Yeah, he is walking towards it, so I'll just play it safe and wait this vent until he moves away. Alright, cool, so then I'll go in here. Sticky shock the guard. And I'll hack this computer and leave. By hacking this computer, it disables the missiles, so they won't cause any damage. And I'll make our way out of here. By doing that, though, we cause a blackout, which you use as a diversion to get out of here. So it's pretty straightforward from here, we just need to make sure to not die. Which is, considering that we knocked out all the guards earlier, it's very, very easy. There is one run where I got all the way to the end of the mission, it going perfectly fine, and then I accidentally fell in some water at the very end of the mission. It's real sad, so hopefully that doesn't happen here. The other nice thing about this blackout that happens at the end of the mission is that it disables all cameras and lasers. So we won't have to worry about that here, thankfully, as we backtrack to the beginning. We have to drop again from the elevator, but it's not a very far drop, so we don't take any damage from it, hopefully. Just making our way back to the intro of the mission, or the beginning area of the mission. Our way all the way back. We're almost there. Just a few more doors to go through. Yeah. I'm pretty sure this game runs at less than 20 FPS, and that's when the game runs well. So it's pretty slow, for sure. Alright, and we're out of battery. Which is good, because that's my most stressful mission whenever I do runs, because the out-of-bounds skip near the elevator is really hard. Now we're in Machiako Hotel. Gonna confront Shetland once and for all, and try to kill him. For anyone who's played any other version, you might know of the Bathhouse mission. This is basically the replacement on the DS version for that mission. I guess for some reason I wanted to do a different setting for this mission. Which is fine. I really like the design of this level, actually. This is by far and away the biggest out-of-bounds skip. Uh, the ones that we did so far are pretty cool, but this one is the biggest skip in terms of the raw content that we skip. Because normally this is about a 10-minute mission or so, and we're gonna complete it in less than 4. Or just about 4 minutes. Because we're gonna skip from what's essentially the very beginning of the mission, right to the very end. Just in case I die or a soft lock happens, though, I am gonna save, just in case. Sticky shock that guard. Then we're gonna go in this crawl space. This crawl space is where the next big skip is. I'm gonna, once I get out of this vent, though, I'm gonna go ahead and hit a checkpoint. Because if I try to do the out of bounds without hitting the checkpoint, I'll hit the checkpoint as I fall down. Which will screw me up and not allow me to do the skip. So I'll go out of here, hit this cutscene. And now I can actually do the skip. And for how much the skip does end up skipping, it's actually surprisingly less complicated than the other skips. Because so far, I've been doing a lot of complex movement out of bounds. So that gets where I need to go to skip things, but this one's a lot simpler, because we just drop down here, go underneath this floor, which acts as a crawl space, and we're already at the end of the mission. I need to make sure to kill this guy quickly and then go to the store quickly. Because by getting caught by that guard, it triggers an alarm and causes a bunch of other enemies to run after me. So if I don't move quickly, yeah, I'm gonna die there.
Hey, you!
And go here and skip this cutscene. You can't actually technically go straight to where the end area of the mission is, but if you go there and then come back here, you crash the game, which I found out the hard way when I was glitch hunting this mission. So, but this one method still skips quite a bit, so this one's serviceable. And we have a pretty tight kill to do on Shetland once we're done with this cutscene, but thankfully, once this cutscene is done, the game gives us an autosave. For some reason, though, this is much longer, though, compared to every other cutscene skip in the game. So yeah, there we go. We just got an autosave. So if we do mess this part up, we're not in huge trouble. First, going to do it with sticky shockers, because sticky shockers are way too OP. And the reason this one is so tight is because Shetland moves very quickly down these stairs. Nice. I also managed to get the guard there too. There's a guard, as you saw there, that runs on the stairs, so by getting him there, I don't have to worry about Shetland's body being seen. I also have 1 out of 3 alarms, which is nice, so I won't have to be as careful with dealing with these guards. My alarm level is so low. There's one guard where if I'm 2 out of 3 alarms, it's very tricky to deal with. Because the guard in this next room is hiding behind a pillar, and if you move ever so slightly too close to him, he sees you. I'm gonna edge myself very carefully. You can see his arm poking out. And I'll sticky shock him there. Yeah. Hey, you indeed. Yeah. Literally all the guards in this game have the same voice lines. Which makes it kind of funny, because in that case, we were fighting against some, Japanese employees of this hotel, but you hear American voices saying the "Hey, I've seen you" lines. It's kind of funny. Alright, Now we're in the very last mission of the game. This is Kukubo Sosho. Again, a very good soundtrack by Amin Tobin. That definitely hasn't gotten my runs copyright on YouTube. And this is easily the biggest skip in the entire run. In terms of raw time save, we did have raw amount of cutscene or content skipped on Machiako Hotel, but this one is the biggest time saving out of bounds. Because normally this is a 20-minute mission, and if you do it really well with the skip I'll be doing in a few minutes, it's a less than 10-minute mission. And it's part of the reason why this run is as short as it is. If you take a look at the estimate. So yeah, really big time save, and it helped out a lot with getting this run to where it is now. In terms of the time. Because right now my PB is a 1:16, and again, like I was saying, this run without any out of bounds is around an hour 36, so pretty big time save all around with all the skips I've managed to find in this game. Which I'm kind of surprised that more people don't run this version, although I don't blame them, because the DS version kind of sucks. But it's still a really cool speedrun, and that's why I almost exclusively run this version when I run Chaos Theory. At some point I'll run the PC version, because I do have that version, but we'll see. Quick save there. Again, there's an outbound skip I'll be doing here, so I'm saving here, just in case I softlock. Also enter a very nice keypad code here, 1234. I'm surprised that they chose that code in particular, given that they're a top secret government agency, but, you know, you do you, I guess. It's like when you log into a computer and you have your password as password. It's kind of goofy. So in the upcoming crawl space, I'll be doing the skip. It's not the most complex out of bounds in the game in terms of movement, but it's up there. I have to very carefully navigate out of bounds space. If I make one wrong misstep, I can void out in a bit of time. Like I said, it's not quite pixel perfect, but it's still extremely precise. So I'm not 100% on timing for event clips. We'll crawl there, which loads this room in. A little bit, just kind of disappeared there. And I'll edge myself very carefully on this ledge. I'll do some particular movements here. I'll climb up there, go to the left. I'll continue moving left here. By doing this, I'll climb right there into a space that I'm normally not supposed to be able to. And now I'm here. For those that have played this game before, this is the War Room, where you get some dialogue involving Otomo, who is kind of the main villain at this point in the game. But instead, I'm going to drop down here, climb back in bounds. That just skipped the entire War Room segment, and it also skipped a long section where we go meet our Navy SEAL buddies in a room off to the side, because they're being interrogated and we're trying to get information from them. But we don't have to do that sequence, because we just skipped it entirely. I'll admit, when I got that save prompt just a second ago, I accidentally skipped it out of habit, because that's what you do when you're going fast. You avoid saving, because it takes time. Obviously, we want to save time to go fast. So this next section might be a little scary, because there are more lasers that I have to dodge, but it shouldn't be too bad. Once we get the laser section coming up, which you'll see when I get in an elevator in a second, it's not too bad, but it is still kind of spooky. And the nice thing about it, too, is that you have a good visual cue for where the lasers are, and still be able to see Sam clearly while you're repelling, because it's another repelling section. I'll throw a chaff grenade there. Disables the lasers, so I can leave the room. Thankfully, these lasers are already deactivated, so I don't have to use the chaff grenade on those. Alright, and this is the big repel section. There's a set of 3 lasers I have to dodge here. But I have good visual cues for dodging them, so see how it goes. I was a little iffy on that dodge, so let's try again. Alright, that should be good. Alright. There's a second laser I have to dodge. Here we go. I basically wait until the laser goes into Sam's model, and then once that happens, I know that the laser is going to move in a way where it's safe to pass. I think in this case I can just move right away, so I'll do that. And there we go, we dodged all the lasers. That's the last hard part, so I can rest easy now. I'll sticky shock these 2 guards that are blocking the way. Thankfully, when I get across this door, there's another save, so I'll go ahead and save there just in case. This next room isn't too bad, but if you get spotted by a guard, or if you accidentally get a keypad code wrong, you can die, which obviously is not good. So if I do die, I just get sent right back here. There was a run I did back when the run had far less skips, where I actually managed to die in this last room. And my last save was at the very top of the elevator shaft where I was hacking those computers. And I ended up losing 6 minutes. But thankfully we didn't have to deal with that there. So I'll sticky shock those 2 guards at the end of the room there, so they aren't a problem. I'm gonna go up here because there's a laptop right here that I want to hack. This gives me the code to a door they need to open. I'll hack this computer, which will cause a cutscene to happen where we have a confrontation with Otomo. Otomo is this Japanese general who's behind the World War III plot that we've been trying to stop this whole game. Essentially, that's like the boiled down version. And he's just over, like on the other side of the store. Wait, I have to check the code, because apparently I don't have it in my notes for some reason. Okay, it's 8895. I just wanted to be super sure, because for some reason I didn't have that code in my notes. So I had to check the files in the menu, which you normally don't do, because it's slow, but I wanted to be extra sure there, just so I didn't die. Because again, if you mess up the code, there's a turret in that room that shoots at you, kind of like the turret in Displace, where if I hit the lasers I would have gotten shot. But we avoided that issue there. Now we have about a minute-long loading screen, and we have one final section. Again, if you've played the other versions of Chaos Theory, this is the point in the game where we bring Otomo to the surface, so he can confess to his war crimes. But we have to blow a room up to cause windows to blow open, so we can actually get out of here. Before I open the door, though, I'm gonna bring his body over. Hopefully it doesn't close on me before I try to go through it. That would be kind of annoying. Great. combination to your luggage. That doesn't sound very secure. Alright, so I'm gonna drop Atomo's body right down here between these two pillars. Because, that point between the two pillars is where the checkpoint is for the end of the mission once I go through this room. Yeah, there is a camera in here, so I'm just gonna disable that chaff grenade. I'm gonna place some explosives here. Alright, cool. So I place the charges, and we'll run over to the spot where I dropped Atomo's body. That'll cause the very last autosave to happen. And time is in a second when the mission cleared screen appears. Time. Alright, cool. That went clean, thankfully. I had a little bit of a hiccup with the lighthouse out of bounds, but it was fairly clean otherwise. Didn't fail the skips at least, outside lighthouse, which I'm very happy about. The game also has some CGI cutscenes, but because it's the DS version, it's very heavily pixelated.
Admiral Otomo, former head of the Japanese Information Self-Defense Force, made a surprise confession today on the witness stand at the Hague War Crimes trial. Otomo openly admitted conspiring to instigate war between the Koreas.
So while
and
we're
the
in this
United
ending
States,
cutscene,
claiming that the
I want to give shouts to a few other Splinter Cell community members. First of all, I want to shout out Distro. He ran Double Agent earlier in the marathon. Really good runner of a lot of these games. I also want to shout out Cody SA, who is a big runner of the original trilogy. I don't think he runs very much nowadays, but he was a big inspiration for me for like what a really cool Splinter Cell speedrun looks like. There's also Iceplug, who's a really entertaining runner of the first game, and Director of Music, who was one of my partners in crime back when I picked up Pandora Tomorrow and really broke that game and optimized it to heck back in 2018 and 2019. And I'm really glad that I got to run the original trilogy at this event, because Splinter Cell, for me personally, is a childhood game, so it's very nice to be able to represent this series. And I don't just run the original trilogy, I also plan to run the later games in the series. In fact, pretty soon, I don't know how soon, but pretty soon, I want to get back into Conviction, as I was saying earlier, it's my favorite Splinter Cell game, and it has a really cool speedrun there. I'll be doing that soon if you want to see that on my stream. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have there. You can cut me off whenever.